Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today for our monthly webinar. We're going to get started very shortly, so hang tight while we let other people continue logging in, and we'll be started very soon. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with today's topic. So we're going to be going over key considerations before launching a company store. So before we dive into any content, I want to point out that you do have a question box with GoToWebinar, and so if you have any questions at all throughout the webinar, please feel free to just drop it into that box. We'll get to all the questions at the end of the webinar, and we don't like to go too long with these, so sometimes we can't get to all of your questions. So if we don't get to your question, we'll absolutely send you an email. That way you have it answered no matter what. And even if we do get to your question, we still like to follow up in an email so you have it in writing, and so we can kind of continue the conversation on from there. So just keep that in mind. We'll get to the questions at the very end of the webinar. Also, you do have a handout for today's webinar that you can download, and it's kind of a takeaway from some of the information that we're going to cover today. So keep that in mind throughout the webinar. One last thing, we are recording this webinar, and we will post it. Just one second, we have some audio stuff going on. So we will post that, we will post the recording, and we will post the PDF of today's presentation onto our website, so you can either watch this again, or if you just want the information, then please be sure to check out our website this afternoon. You can view that information. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so presenting today, you have myself on the line. I'm Lucy Taylor. I am the marketing manager here at Bright Stores, and then giving today's main presentation is our Director of Sales and Operations, Tanya Ignacek. And so I'm going to hand it over to Tanya really quick just to tell you a little bit more about Bright Stores and who we are and what we do.
Hi, thank you. So many of you already know who we are, but I'll just quickly go over Bright Stores and what we provide and who we are. So Bright Stores is a software solution provider specifically for promotional product distributors. We try to be a technology partner specifically for distributors and specifically for our industry. So we've been providing company stores for our industry since the late 90s, well over 15 years. And we do it really well because we've been doing it so long. And again, we live in promo. So we don't try to be everything to everybody. We just are married to this industry. We know it. We love it. We work in it. And so we really try to be a great partner to distributors for this specific reason.
Okay, so today's presentation, so we're going to be talking about some key considerations that you need to take in before launching a company store. And so what we're going to cover in today's webinar is all the stuff that you have to think about and plan for before you even touch the company store software. And I mean, this can go for any piece of software too. It's not just our company store platform, but this is what you need to think about before going into any sort of company store program. So our first kind of topic that we want to talk about today is, going over the audience and the order anticipation that you'll have for your store. You'll also want to think about the design direction and how you're going to manage products, what you're going to do for your shipping strategy, sales tax options, managing payments. So we'll get into all of these elements of a company store that you'll need to take in before you get to the platform. And so this is really a conversation that our sales team has with distributors, as they're going through the discovery part of the phase. And so we're not going to really dive into any company store features, so we're going to kind of keep it outside of the platform today. So it's going to be a little bit different from our normal webinars, and we hope that you'll find this information really helpful for your next store build, or perhaps this is your first company store build. So this is kind of getting that conversation that we would normally have with you, giving you that information ahead of time. So so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Tanya, and we'll just dive right into the information that you need to know.
All right. So I think that before we get started in this, I just kind of want to let you know that I speak with distributors every day, all day. We talk about a variety of different conversations circling around these topics. But I've tried to work with Lucy this week to work up a presentation that will really kind of give you some guidelines to walk you through the direction of getting started with Company Store. And one of the conversations that I have regularly is, boy, we have a client asking for a company store. We really think that it's going to be a go-ahead and it's something we need to go forward with, but let's make sure it's the right fit for you. And so we're just going to touch on a few of the conversations and questions that you might have to help you determine if offering a company store to your clients is the right thing to do. So one of the first questions that we might talk about is audience and order anticipation. So I think it's important to know the audience and to ask some questions of your client about their requested company store, like, what's the purpose of the store? Why do you need the store? Who's asking for the store? What's the expectation for who will be shopping in the store? Is this going to be a store that your client wants for employees? Are they going to open it up to the public? Is it going to be for partners or affiliates of the company? And what's the purpose of the store? Why will they be shopping in the store? Is it going to be a program where all orders placed with logoed items or internally are going to be required to be sent through the store? Or is it just out there to create convenience for those random people that might want to order through a company store? I often say things like, what kind of buy-in does your client have? And really with that, I mean, are they going to help you promote this store? Are they going to direct their employees to the store? And if so, to what extent? So getting a feel or a gauge for how your client wants to promote this store, require this store, and enforce the store, whatever the case might be, what is their anticipated plan to promote this store on your behalf or to require that their shoppers or their employees go through the store? And then how often will those orders be placed? So is this expected to be something where people are going and placing orders every day in the store? Is it once in a while? Is it random? Is it regular? How many employees do they have? How many are anticipated to be placing orders? Having the conversation with your client and learning more about what that store looks like is really important, because them coming to you and saying, we want a store, that's great, but you want to know why, for who, how often, what the expectation is, how many orders are going to be placed through the store, what do they guess is going to be that order anticipation. So engaging in this conversation is a really great start for you to understand better what it is they need and therefore how they need it to work. So a lot of times distributors ask me, so what is that magic number that warrants a company store? I really wish that I had that magic formula that I could give to you so that you would know when it's good and when it's bad. But unfortunately, there just isn't one. There isn't a magic number that I can put out there or that you can put out there that's going to say company stores, as long as this many orders are going through it, it's going to work. Where if that many orders are not going through it, it's not going to work, because it takes so much more into account than just the number of orders or the count of spend going through that company store. So sometimes I think it's important to consider things like, what's your overhead? How much time and effort are you going to spend building and supporting the store? Of course, what costs are you going to put into building and providing the store? If your client is asking for a store, chances are it's worth it. But again, you need to take those things into consideration in addition to the previous slides, spend and orders and how they're using it and all that good stuff to determine if it is indeed worth it. Sometimes offering a company store for your client, especially if they're asking for it, can really improve that relationship, or it can cement that ordering relationship with your client. I know a lot of clients that build company stores for their end clients because they're asking for it, that place very few orders through the store. But because the distributor is already known to the end client as being a great provider of the promo items, they have the branding down, they have the setups down, they know the brand requirements. Because all of those points are in place, you're oftentimes going to be the first person they're going to call when they need, 10,000 t-shirts outside of the store, or some custom cooler order that they want to place for the summer. So having the company store available for your client because they've asked for it is a lot more than just making a company store available. It's a great effort in maintaining that relationship and that commitment with your client. So thinking about these pieces, thinking about the spend, how it's going to be used, what this customer is like, do they pay well, do they require ridiculous terms with you or really small margins, taking all of that into the mixture and stirring it all together and determining if it's a good client that is worthy of having a company store or not is a lot more than just one magic number. So consider all that when you're determining, is it worth it or not? So let's assume that it's worth it, that you've worked that out with them. Heck, you maybe don't even have to work it out. You know it already in your head. So the minute they call and say, hey, we want to talk to you about setting up a company store, you're maybe jumping in with both feet because you know this is a good client and they're going to have a great company store program. So once you know it's worth it, let's talk about some of the other conversations that you want to have with the client or internally with your own team to start to determine what that company store is going to look like. So the first thing that crosses my mind, only because it's the first thing you notice when you go to a company store, is design, the look and the feel of the store. And also we'll talk a little bit about accessing the store as well. But when it comes to design direction, what's the store going to look like? So, do you need just something pretty basic with maybe just their general branding like colors and logo and maybe some fonts, but the rest of it is pretty flexible? Or do you need a really custom design store that's going to look exactly like their website so that when they go from website or intranet to company store, they won't even realize they've gone to a different platform? So the level of customization of a company store is enormous. Even our standard designs or standard themes in our platform, I think, are beautiful and offer a lot of capabilities for customizing it. But it depends on to what level you need to customize that brand, that look and feel of your store. I kind of break it into two areas, one of which is the theme or the general layout, and that's going to be your colors, your navigation, the behavior of your store as people move through it. And then, of course, the home page. What's going to be on the home page? The home page, or when you land on a page in the store, is really good real estate. So what do you or what does your client want to put on that page so that it's effective, so that it's attractive, so that it draws their employees in, it engages them? We've definitely found that graphics are hugely popular right now. A lot of companies are designing with big graphics, whether it's one graphic that fills up the page and is even like the background, or whether it's big graphics that move and rotate. That's very common. Sometimes you might have verbiage or direction that you want to put on that landing page as well, encouraging people to log in first, or giving some direction as to thanks for coming to our store, here's what it's about. So talking to your client to decide what kind of information or graphics they want for this homepage is a really great way to start you gathering that information for what that direction for the design of the store will look like. Here's just an example of a more basic design with one of our themes that's really easy to customize. And here's an example of a much more custom design store, like I said, with that big graphic that's kind of the background of the store. So whether you need something really basic or whether you need something crazy custom, we can definitely help you with either. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about how users access the store. This isn't as big of a question oftentimes, but sometimes it's a great conversation to have because you can glean a lot of information from your client by engaging with this question. How do you want your employees or your users to be able to access the store? Are they going to click a link from your intranet? They're just going to take them to the store and then they can self-register and place orders? That's the most common way that company stores are set up. So let me step aside for a little bit and just mention that our system is a company store system. So because of that, these company stores are not automatically searchable on a search engine. They're not going to be found in Google automatically. We can certainly modify it and adjust them so that they can be found in search engines, but by default, they're not because they're generally not meant to be. So if indeed your client's employees do get to the store, what's going to happen? Can they self-register? Can they check out as a guest? Do they land right on a login page where they have to log in to even be able to get to the store? Do you set it up with some single sign-on or SSO integration so that they programmatically carry over and log into the store? There's a lot of flexibility there, but asking that your client what that's going to look like. Heck, they could even have a self-registration store where maybe advanced users log in to see more items in the store. There's a lot that we can do here and a lot that you can offer here, but getting an idea about what they want is a good conversation to have. So once your client's in the store, and really the reason for the company store is the products. What are you going to do to offer products? How are you managing the products in the store? And so I think the first conversation comes, and you've probably long had this conversation with your client, is what products are they going to offer? How they're going to organize them into different categories. Are they going to organize them by department or by logo or by brand or by most common product type, categories of drinkware and apparel, etc. So how do they want to organize those products? And then how are you going to manage them? Are you going to have a store that has products that are inventoried in a warehouse, or are you going to create just a store with custom orders, or is it going to be a hybrid of both? So let's dig a little bit deeper into those options. So let's talk first about an inventory store. So are you going to set up a store where you're going to be housing inventory for the products offered in the store? And if so, what's your plan for that inventory? Are you going to house that in a shelf in the back of your office? Or do you have a warehouse? Are you part of an organization that has a warehouse that you can utilize? Or are you going to look for a third-party fulfillment house that you might work with to inventory those products? And then, of course, second to where those inventoried items are going to be is the question of who's going to pick, pack, and ship them. Depending on what solution you're using, there's probably something set up with that as to a flow of orders so that there will be somebody that will pull that inventory off the shelf, put it in a carton, seal it up, and call UPS to come pick it up. So that order management or order process part of those inventoried items is really important to understand what that's going to look like. Are you going to sell for those inventoried products? Are you going to sell just what's on the shelf? Or are you going to allow for back orders? How are you going to handle that if so? Also, it's important to have that conversation with your client as to the financing of the inventory. How does that look? Are you going to finance it up front, but they're liable for it? Or are they going to buy it, and then you're just going to put it on yourselves and then reimburse them as orders are placed? So the logistics and the financial conversation about that is a really, really important one to have with your clients. I would always say your clients need to be responsible for that inventory because it's theirs, because they have their logo on it. So don't go buy in your client's inventory with some hope that it'll all sell, because if things go awry, then you're left holding the unsellable inventory. So inventory store is a great tool. It's a great solution. It's common, but it's certainly something that requires a lot more conversation about before you do it. Then, of course, there's a custom order store. So maybe you're lucky and you have a scenario set up with your client where their employees come in and buy, and then you take those orders and you process them and you fulfill them. Maybe your supplier drop ships them, whatever the case. So with this, you need to have some conversations and some commitments and some good supplier communications going on so that you know which suppliers will provide you with what kind of minimums. Do you have a supplier that you work with that will do onesie, twosie turnarounds? Maybe they decorate in-house. Maybe they don't. Do you have minimums that you need to set up for these products or maximums because of the suppliers that you're working with? What kind of turnaround will those suppliers have so that you know you create those reasonable expectations for your clients based on your supplier's commitment to you? Who is going to be in charge of the product decoration? Are you working with a supplier that's going to send it off to your decorator who's going to drop ship from there? Or are they going to in turn then ship it back to you? You're going to package and send it from your location. So what does that look like? So thinking about that custom order store and how that flow and process is going to look is really important. Most common type of store is a hybrid of an inventory and custom order store. So it's really common for clients to have a company store where you're providing a handful of inventoried products. Then you might also have a lot of products that are not inventory, that are more custom orders. So it's really easy to set up and support a store that offers both. From an administrative and a fulfillment standpoint, you can certainly set this store up so that you can process and manage those orders by splitting them. Maybe some come from a warehouse, some come from a drop ship supplier, but offering these solutions and managing the solutions, there are tools in the back of our software to do it, but you need to determine for yourself what that flow looks like. So I'm sorry to get on kind of a soapbox, but understanding what you're going to do with your products and how you want to fulfill those orders in the store is obviously a really important conversation. All right, so let's talk about shipping strategy. So when people ask me, how do I handle shipping? I try to be clear that there are really two sides to the shipping equation, one of which is the store and the other which is when they're actually shipping. So the purpose of shipping in the store is if they want to estimate and add shipping charges to an order to charge for it, and or if they want to allow shoppers to pick a shipping method. You know, do you want to let them pick if it's overnight or ground or not? So I'm going to come back to this here in a second, but let me just talk about the other side of it first. The other side of it is when an order is placed and the fulfillment house, let's just say, puts the product in the box, they put it on the scale, they put peanuts in it, they seal it up with tape, they put a label on it, and they call UPS and ship it. How they pay for that, how they process that, that's all outside of the store. That's the actual shipping of the order. Again, going back, the purpose of shipping in the store is really just to collect information about how they want the order to ship, and then, of course, if they're going to charge, if you want to charge for shipping in the store, how that's done. So if you do need to estimate and add shipping charges to orders, you can do that in the store. Are you going to pass those charges on to the user? If so, there are a variety of ways you can estimate that within our software, from rate integrations with UPS and FedEx and USPS to custom shipping tables you can build, passing on handling fees. So you can do all that within the software depending on what you want to do and how you want to charge for that. And then again, if you want to offer options with how they're shipped, how orders are shipped, you can create those options in the store as well. So using shipping in the store is a great way to pass the costs on and gather information about shipping from the shopper. So thinking through the whole shipping process internally and how you want to manage that and how you want to pass it on or not will really help us be able to build that store up effectively for you based on what you need. Same kind of conversation goes with sales tax. Hello, hi, I'm back into this call. Can you hear me now? I'm afraid we had some technical audio challenges. Can you hear me now? Okay, good. I'm so sorry. I guess that I can be heard now. So I apologize for that. We had some audio challenges here, and I think people were not able to hear me internally. So I don't know if I lost you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up. I was talking about shipping strategy, and I think I got through shipping strategy. So let's talk a little bit about sales tax. So sales tax options in the store are similar to that of shipping, in that it really depends on what you need as to how you want to set that up. So the conversation that you want to think about with your accountant, perhaps your client, are how do you need to charge sales tax, or do you need to charge sales tax? You know, whether you do or not is up to you. If you do need to charge sales tax, to what level, to what detail, for what types of states. So if you need really specific sales tax being charged to your orders, then that's something that you might want to talk about. If you need to vary based on states that they're shipping to with regard to the types of products that are being taxed, and you need tax reporting and things like that, then you might want to look at a sales tax mandating solution that we might be integrated with. We have a couple, Avalara and Tax Cloud, that we integrate with, and you might want to use one of those to help manage sales tax in your store. Maybe you don't need that much detail, and you just want us to utilize our tool to charge zip code-based sales tax, so that wherever your orders are shipping to based on that zip code, it can charge a sales tax. So that's another option right there that you might want to think about. Or maybe you want to create your own custom rates. You can set up state-based taxing, or you can load your own zip code tax rates if you want to. So if you do want to charge sales tax for orders, then you can determine what level of detail you need, and then based on that, you can chat with our team and determine what's going to be the best fit for you. But for you internally in your organization, when you're deciding how to do that, making that decision and then knowing what you need from your side is going to be a really good step before you even get to setting up the store, so that you know what that looks like. So that's enough on sales tax. So now let's talk a little bit about managing payments. So managing payments in a company store can be a question, because a lot of times people think that a company store has to be e-commerce, and that is absolutely not the case. In our industry, company stores are oftentimes just kind of like a distribution center for your clients. It's just meant to be this tool where employees across an organization can come in and get their products by using a company store, but they're not actually buying anything. They're billing to a department or a cost code, or they're entering purchase orders that you invoice against, but the products have already been purchased well in advance. So I honestly think the majority of the time, there's no actual payment being collected in this store. But whether that's the case or not for you is really up to how the store is being used for your client. It goes back to that how question from the beginning. So for you, I ask, does your store need to accept payments in some form? So credit cards is the obvious. If you need to be able to accept credit card payments in the store, then yeah, that's e-commerce. And then we can certainly set that up to receive those credit card payments through the store if needed. But if not, or if in addition to credit card, you also want to be able to accept any other kind of payment you can, purchase orders, payroll deductions, cost codes, what does that look like, and what do you need to do with that? Sometimes it's not really even about payment. It's just about information that you want to collect at the order level, so that when you're creating those invoices for your client, you can reference the appropriate department or project or purchase order or whatever it might be later on down the line. So understanding what that looks like and if that's information that needs to be gathered is important. You can also utilize the store to create account balances or budget type of things so that you can give people money that they can order against and that can limit their spending through the store. So creating budgets or account balances to do that is really, really, really popular in a company store so that you can put these products out there for employees, but keep track of what they're spending or keep control on what they're spending. Gift certificates and coupons are great ways to incentivize or offer promotions or maybe incentives for people to go in and go, I said incentive twice, sorry, to go out there and place those orders. And so whatever kind of scenario you want to create for those employees coming to the store to pay for an order or to reference something for an order or to get money towards an order or to get a balance that they order against, there's a lot that you can do within the store to help you manage and control that through the software so that you don't have to do it for every single order that comes through. So determining how users are going to quote unquote pay for their products is a great conversation to have as you're combining that information, that big pot of information so that you can get in there and build the store effectively once you're ready. All right, so we talked about a lot of information. We had a quiet break, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and recap some of what we've talked about so that we can kind of go over it. So honestly, what I oftentimes suggest is that the more information that you can collect from your client during this process, the easier it's going to be to build the store. So having these conversations, utilizing our tools, our discovery document, our store building document, whatever it might be, we've got great tools that we can give you to help you begin to have these conversations and to collect this information from your client so that not only once you're ready to build the store, it's easier, but once you start getting orders through the store, you're better prepared to begin processing these orders and creating reports and going through the whole process so that you're better educated at what this whole thing is going to look like. So get everything in place first. We've kind of gone through this, why you're having the store set up, what's it going to look like, what products you're going to offer and how you're going to fulfill them, what you're going to do about shipping and sales tax, and then how you want to collect payments. Understanding this first really helps you prepare. Work with our team. So we're going to provide you, when you're ready to get started with the store, we're going to provide you with training and orientation to help you understand how to use our system, whether you're setting up the whole store on your own or whether we're doing it for you and you're just going to manage it moving forward. You need to understand the software. Not only is it going to help make managing that store easier for you, but it's going to help arm you with great resources so that you can manage the store moving forward. You can promote additional functionality that might be useful to your customer. And overall, you just can be a better partner to your client with a good knowledge of the company store. So we always say when we're ready to train, bring the team. Don't be the only person in your company that knows how to do things. Get other people involved. It helps educate them, which again is powerful for you, but it also helps guard you for, being able to call, not be there one day because you're going on vacation or something. So get as many people involved in that training as will come. We're going to give you an in-depth administrative overview of the system. Come prepared with details. Know some of the stuff we've already talked about so that when they're showing you how to do it, it makes sense to you. Ask lots of questions. It's a really great opportunity to really become involved in what it's all about. We also always are going to give you access to our support team through training articles and videos and telephone calls and support tickets. So take advantage of our really knowledgeable team because we're happy to help as you have questions at the beginning, in the middle, and throughout the process of running your company store. So what's next? Well, we are here depending on the stage that you're at. So if you're still at the sales component of the process and you're really trying to understand the system so that you can pitch a store to a client or a potential client, we're always happy to help you with that. Call our sales team. We'll help you present. We'll help give you information to present. We'll help walk you through it so that you're better educated to present. Whatever it is that you need, We'll help you get there if you need it. If you're already involved in a store and you've already been trained and you know all about our support team, you just might need some design support. You might need our designers to get in there and help you design a store for your client. We have an amazing design team that are like back there with their design tools being ninjas because they're really good. So lean on them, ask them questions, or engage with them to do some design for your store. They're there for a reason, and they're happy to help in whatever way they can. And then, of course, training and support we already talked about. So let us know where you're at in this process and what we can do to help you. So with that, I'm going to take a breath and hand it back to Lucy.
Thank you so much, Tanya, and thank you, everyone, for being patient and hanging with us while we had those brief audio issues. So we're back on now, so that's pretty exciting. If you are ready to talk, we do have our information here. Please feel free to ask questions too, as I'm kind of going through this, just to give you guys a little bit more time to ask questions, and we will get to that in just a minute. But in the meantime, there's our phone number right there. You can call that line and reach our sales team, reach our support team, reach us individually, however, whoever you need to talk to. There's also an email address that is monitored by multiple people, marketing@brightstores.com. And so if you have a question anytime, it's a pretty easy email address to remember, and we will direct your question wherever it needs to go. Our website is also an excellent resource for company store information. If you need help just learning about the features, or if you want to look at a demo store, if you want to show your client some kind of demo store options, we have all of that on our website. We also host a weekly demo. It lasts about 20 minutes, and we go through the storefront, and that's something that you can bring your client to, because it's pretty much just the storefront and how that is how they can shop for products through there. We go through some of the features that are available in that storefront. So it's a really great resource. We host it every single week. We usually alternate between Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and that kind of fluctuates depending on holidays and such. So go to our website and you can find that information, or you can just shoot us an email and we'll send it to you. We host webinars every month, usually around the end of the month, always on a Thursday. So our next webinar is super exciting. We will be introducing company store levels to you guys. So, so be on the lookout for that information. If you're a client, you'll get some information from us ahead of time. If you're not quite yet, we'll be introducing that shortly. So yeah, be on the lookout for all that information. You can also watch all of our previous webinars on our website at brightstores.com/company store webinars. I'll send you guys a link to this also this afternoon, because we will be posting this webinar and the presentation later today. So you guys will get an email from us on that. So with that, let's kind of get to some of your questions. Let's see, we have, where could I go to download this presentation and review and absorb the online presentation? And so as I just mentioned, that'll be on our website this afternoon, and so I will send you that link so that way you can go through the recording, listen to us drop off on the audio again, and then come back on. Really exciting stuff. Or you can just take a look at the PDF, because we do have a lot of information in the PDF, and so I can we have that posted on our website too. That way it's available anytime you need it. How often do you host these webinars? So we host these webinars every month. The topic does change. So part of this question is, can I invite my clients to participate too? That's up to you. We do sometimes get into some detailed information on the back end of the system, and these webinars are really targeted to distributors. So we get into kind of some distributor stuff that maybe you don't want your clients to know. But our team is happy to help present with you, or we can provide you with this presentation and you can modify it so you can send to your client. Okay, so some more questions that we have. How long does this process take?
So that's a really $10,000 question. How long the process takes depends on lots of things. First off, if the process that you're asking about is building a store, then who's building it? Are you guys building it, or are we going to build it? So assuming that we're building it, once we get the information and the direction and the product data and all that kind of good stuff, we can generally turn a store around in 2 to 3 weeks. It's always first come, first serve, so that can vary. But once we get the data and the information, it's usually pretty quick. So for us, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks is a good range. But you can certainly chat with us when you're closer to it and ask. We'll be able to give you a better idea.
Okay. Do you have a document that goes over all of this information?
We definitely have a document. We have a couple of different documents, one of which I think Lucy has attached to this presentation, and it's kind of a getting started document, and it kind of touches on a lot of these points. We call it our discovery document. It has a few more points in there as well. So it's kind of a good guide for you to ask these questions of your client when you're having conversations with them leading up to the store. And then we also have, once you get started with the store, we have a store building document and a product building document. So we have documents internally that we'll share with you once we're building the store to help you think about, and if we're building it for you, give us information about the details of what you need to set up that store. So yeah, we have lots of stuff that can help guide you along the way. So for purposes of this, grab that document off the handouts over on your little window over there, and you can get a good baseline for this.
Okay. I'm wondering if you have the capability to handle print orders, business cards, letterhead, etc. We've got a big company store with several hundred items, but the site was originally designed for the print side, and the promo was an add-on and is terrible.
Gosh, if I had $1 for every time I've heard something like that, I might have like $100. So yes, I'm going to answer your question and say a blanket yes. So we're promo, more so than print, but we definitely recognize the need for print. We have tools within our store that allow you to collect print data and really report on it nicely, collect it nicely, share it nicely, all that good stuff. So there are tools within the store that allow that. But if you do need a true variable data kind of solution where you can customize your product, mock it up, proof it, change it, see it, all that good magic stuff, and get maybe a print-ready PDF out of it, we do have a third-party solution that we integrate with to bring that to fruition for you. So depending on the level of print that you need, we offer solutions for both. So feel free, we'll follow up with you with more information. We have a demo store with some examples of that, so we'll send that off to you, and then if you have questions, let us know. We're happy to walk through it with you.
Okay, my client gave me no direction. Can you help me come up with something?
Okay, so that's a really broad question, but I'm going to suspect that it's referencing design. So, because I do hear that a lot, where clients will say, my client won't give me any direction for what they want it to look like. So, yeah, we can absolutely work with you to design a store. A lot of times I would say let's use their website as a guide because we know that branding they like. And then from there we could build some homepage graphics to really pull in their own branding from their website and plug in some product images and things like that to kind of tie in their branding with their company store. So we'll be happy to work with you and come up with design for your company store.
Okay, going back to the previous question about print, we have another question that's following up on that. What is the third-party solution for the print store?
It's an organization called Artify Labs. So it integrates directly into our store so that when you're in a store, you can click on a product, there'll be a customized button, and then it'll open up just, not their website or anything, it just opens up an interface powered by them, where the customer that can then go in and enter their print information and then view it. So they're pretty neat company, and the tools that we built with them are pretty impressive as well. So again, we'll send you a demo store that kind of shows you an example of it, but that's the company we work with.
Okay, so those are all the questions that we have, which is perfect timing because we usually go about 45 minutes. So thank you guys so much for hanging with us today while we had our audio issues. We'll send you guys a follow-up email with links to the recording and to the PDF document. Otherwise, be on the lookout for our next webinar invite, and we will see you guys later. Hope you all have a wonderful day.